The GSMA itself is a trade association that represents the interests of mobile operators. We're active in thought leadership in the technology. We're also active in advocacy with governments and regulators about the future of the mobile sector. We also convene the industry in state-of-the-art events. Of course, Mobile World Congress in Barcelona is a GSMA event, and that is the standard meeting place for the technology, mobile technology every year. We have 12 offices worldwide. I work between Amman and Dubai, but mostly in Dubai. And our mobile operator members are 800. We also have around 250 technology vendors. And in all, that is the ecosystem that we as a trade association represent. Just some information about the whole global mobile economy from GSMA intelligence information. Of the almost more than 7 billion people globally living on Earth these days, 4.7 billion people are already connected to the mobile, expected to advance to 5.6 billion by 2020. The total connections in 2015 stood at 7.3 billion connections, expected to reach almost 9 billion connections by 2020. So of a global population of 7 billion, 4.7 billion are unique users of the mobile connections that total 7.3 billion. The penetration rate is 63% of the world's population, expected to increase to 72% of the world's population. One thing that we have to note is the mobile platform is the predominant way of connecting people, and still there is a substantial portion of the global population without a connectivity, because if you're not connected to a mobile, chances are you're not connected to any other form of communications. Revenues of the mobile industry globally stood at 1.1 trillion in 2015, expected to rise modestly to 1.2 trillion, almost 2% annual growth by 2020. Contribution to government treasuries and government coffers and public funding, almost $500 billion. By 2020, mobile operators will contribute in taxes and fees around $480 billion to governments. And they directly generate 17 million jobs, expected to increase to 20 million direct jobs by the mobile platform, by the mobile operators globally. 4G is the de facto mobile broadband connectivity these days. Already it's available in 151 countries across the world. And 1.9 billion people globally are connected to mobile money services utilizing mobile networks. With all the success, there are still some major challenges facing the world and the mobile industry. Still 2.5 billion people globally without access to the internet, 1.37 billion people without access to a bank account or financial services, completely excluded from financial services, and almost 1 billion people globally without any form of identity. Almost 1 billion people without, for example, a birth certificate, a driver's license, a passport, or an identity, an official identity. And that's where the mobile industry can help in tying up registered SIM cards and expanding identity services for the uncovered and the unidentified of the global population. Specifically on the Internet of Things, it's new and also not very new. It is really machine-to-machine communications. There are many definitions on Internet of Things. At the GSMA, we use the Internet of Things to describe the coordination of multiple machines, devices, and appliances connected to the Internet through multiple networks. We define IoT connected services as services that use connectivity, but the connectivity in that form is utilized by an authenticating a SIM inside that device, where primarily the service is not for internet connection or for voice services, and where the services have a closed user group provider managed connectivity. So that's what we define IoT connected services as. It has to have a SIM that authenticates the user. And then, of course, the devices in IoT, it's a vast array of devices covering many vertical industries. And M2M, machine-to-machine, is a subpart of Internet of Things. Effectively, anything that can benefit from connectivity and being connected will eventually be connected. We see also practical examples for Internet of Things globally that could have massive benefits immediately. For example, we estimate that with proper use of IoT in health services, 1 million people in sub-Saharan Africa can be saved every year from unnecessary death. Traffic telematics in China, for example, savings of $20 billion US from less congestion and better flow of traffic around the city. Smart meters in India can reduce power theft, which is also a problem across many developing countries. And that reduction in power theft would be enough to power electricity with 10 million extra homes without any further cost on the energy bill of the country. And in Europe, 99 billion euros of healthcare savings could be realized through mobile health solutions. So as you see, it is multiple applications across multiple verticals, and that ties the mobile platform and the communication services with every imaginable economic vertical and economic sector around the world. That's a projection by 2020 that almost 20% of IoT connections will either be cellular-based machine-to-machine connections or LPWA, which is low-power wide area network, also utilizing the cellular standards that are being developed now. And that will be 20% of the total connected devices globally by 2020. The standards for low power wide area networks, low power wide area network standards for IoT, the LPWA, they're very supported by the GSMA. They are 3GPP standards. They're very viable because the way they're designed, they're very low power, so batteries in their applications can last for 10 years or 15 years, so you don't have to worry about changing batteries. They also use licensed spectrum, which ensures availability, ensures good levels of service, and that's where the importance of LPWA and machine-to-machine on cellular comes from. It's a massive value chain, and operators, of course, traditionally find themselves in the connectivity part of that value chain. But of course, relying just on connectivity could mean just relying on less than 10% of the total revenue potential of the IoT services globally. And therefore, many of the mobile operators are already seeking partnerships with other value chain players to expand their offerings beyond connectivity and become value-added partners or offering services and offering value-added services in addition to the connectivity layer of the IoT services. And it's across also multiple sectors, such as the automotive industries, self-driving cars, for example, or GPS solutions or tracking services, utilities, security, point of sale, health, consumer electronics, and many other verticals globally. In the Arab world, the Middle East and North Africa, in this we actually include Turkey, the total connectivity of cellular NTM as a proportion of the total connections is quite actually low, only higher than sub-Saharan Africa. Stood at 1.6% in 2015, compared to around 14% in North America and around 9% in Europe. So a lot of work to be done in the MENA region to expand machine-to-machine and IoT services. And it's projected to reach around 4% by 2020. The leading countries are Turkey by a wide margin, followed by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. This is the slide with the focus on Turkey. They had an issue where they had specific taxes on SIM cards because traditionally a SIM card was tied to a high ARPU mobile device. But then to actually expand machine-to-machine services, you needed first a regulatory change that exempted SIM cards used in machine-to-machine from the specific connection tax. So that was a positive approach. Turkcell is already the largest operator in the region. It had connections and revenue increasing by 23%, and its machine-to-machine connections reached 1.9 million, almost 6% of its total connections. And it has a partnership model with around 34 dedicated solution partners in a range of verticals engaged in joint product development. So it is going beyond just offering the connectivity. And we see strong, in the UAE, for example, because of the emphasis on the government itself on smart cities and utilizing IoT for smart cities, operators are part of that objective, and they actually have KPIs to meet in front of the government, and that also, when there is a strong government drive towards IoT and smart services, operators will, of course, be more active, and that's what we're seeing in the United Arab Emirates. The GSMA Connected Living program is basically our people in London who take care of everything related to Internet of Things. Our vision is to enable the Internet of Things, a world in which consumers and businesses enjoy rich new services connected by intelligent and secure mobile. And that follows 5 pillars. First, the future of IoT networks when it comes to what standards to be used, how to use big data that comes from Internet of Things, GSMA Smart Cities guidelines, and when you have massive devices connected globally, the embedded SIM approach, the remote SIM provisioning, where if you want to change the operator, you can do it over the air and remotely, rather than having to replace SIM cards in every connected device. And of course, lastly, the IoT Business Enablers. The 3 standards for low power wide area networks, again, they use licensed spectrum. So there's no chance of interference. It's much more scalable, always available. The level of service is high. 3 standards already being developed. In mid-2016, we will see a lot of pilots, and commercial solutions will start in early 2017. The 3 GPP standards for LPWA for IoT is LTE Evolution, EC GSM IoT, and Narrowband IoT. Some of it uses the 4G network, some of it uses the legacy systems available in 2nd generation and 3rd generation cellular networks. So it's a chance for operators to utilize sunk investments where they've already gotten the returns from that network, that 2G network. 2 minutes, I'll be done, don't worry. And so on. And also, the GSMA set the Mobile IoT Initiative in August 2015 to accelerate availability of standard LPAW solutions. And as I said, pilots in mid-2016, commercial deployment by early 2017. The project participants for mobile IoT are 21 global mobile network operators and 10 vendors, and the slide shows their names, and this is the timeline of the development on that front. And these are the published security guidelines for IoT. Any vendors in IoT would find them very interesting. Of course, I can send the slides, and you can download these security guidelines by the GSMA on IoT networks. Because, like it or not, when you have billions and billions of connections, that also carries with it massive security risks for the end users and the operators. And also guidelines on how to make IoT devices efficient. So there are GSMA device connection efficiency guidelines I could share with you as well, and they're on the GSMA website. The focus on the big data ecosystem is once you have all these massive connection base of IoT networks and IoT devices, the data generated from it represents a major opportunity for operators and players to mine and to utilize efficiently. So it is part and parcel. The big data is part and parcel of the development of the IoT. The Smart Cities program, the focus also is to position operators across the value chain as a key partner, not just a connectivity partner for smart city implementations. And as I said, the embedded SIM approach, it allows flexibility. If, let's say, for example, an IoT device is manufactured in Japan, one solution is to have permanent roaming with a Japanese operator. But if the regulation in a specific country says it has to be local operators providing IoT connectivity, not permanent roaming with a foreign operator, that's where the embedded SIM comes in. It's a virtual SIM, it's not physical. The operators can be changed on air, and therefore the device, if it comes to Jordan, it can use Jordanian mobile operators. If it's in Saudi, it will use Saudi mobile operators, and so on. And it also has efficiencies in space, because there is no space for a physical SIM card in it again. 22 operator launches by February 2016 on the embedded SIM program, including Etisalat and Orange and AT&T, NTT Docomo in Japan, and so on. These are policy topics that are globally relevant for IoT. Permanent roaming, again, that's addressed by the embedded SIM approach. How to deal with data privacy and security. Will governments accept that their citizens' data be hosted in a different country? What guidelines, what security measures should be done? What are the rules and regulations governing the security of and the data privacy of the citizens? How do you deal with SIM taxation? How do you deal with taxation specific per connection when you have masses of extra devices that are low ARPU by nature? Again, the ideal solution is actually to have taxation based on revenues or based on profits and not tied to SIM cards or connections. Spectrum, how do you make sure that spectrum is available for the massive investments in mobile broadband networks that will carry almost a quarter of IoT connections globally, and also how to deal with numbering and SIM registration. Is it a scarce resource? It's not a scarce resource, so it has to be smooth without major barriers to IoT operators.